Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nano Blitz Football. I hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. But yeah, we're starting kind of a new series here on the podcast. If you notice going into this episode is not going to be as long as the usual episode I typically make, which is around like 30 to 40 minutes. This is probably going to be around like 10 to 15 minutes. And the reasoning for making this series is I just sometimes want to go into deep dives over a specific idea, a specific team, or even a specific move that's happening in the NFL currently. And honestly, to start the series off, something that's been on my mind recently is the New York Jets. And I know a lot of people don't say that considering how bad they've been over the past couple of years. I mean, I think in the past 5 years, they're tied with the Giants for the most losses in the league. So they've definitely not been good the past couple of years, but you also got to take into account that they had Adam Gase as their coach for like 3 or 4 of those years, and who absolutely ruined their supposedly franchise quarterback Sam Darnold, who unfortunately was also ruined on my team, the Carolina Panthers. But I think that in New York, I think it's definitely looking up for them. And I wanted to talk about in this video why I think in the next 2 to 3 years, they could become a true Super Bowl contender. And before you click off this episode for that being a stupid take, listen to what I have to say about the Jets. Okay. So they were not good last year. They were not good at all. They went, I believe, 4-13, and they're picking number 4 overall. So definitely not a good season for New York, but I believe they're doing the moves that are necessary to create a future contender. And that all starts with the future of the franchise. 2021 number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson, who I believe I gotta be honest, I didn't like him that much coming out of college. He was I think my QB3 in the draft behind Justin Fields and Trevor. But at this point, and this is going to be a hot take, but he is my quarterback 1 from that draft class. I think he will be the best out of all the quarterbacks in that draft class. I say that because I truly think he's like almost like the perfect player for the new age of NFL football as a quarterback. I think he can truly make any throw, and his stats were not good at all. His rookie year, he was hurt a little, but he had 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So not a good start for Zach Wilson, but he to me showed a lot of potential, especially in that Tennessee, a couple games, the Bucs game where they were actually up at halftime. I know they choked it, but you were playing against Tom Brady, so you expect stuff like that to happen. But in that Bucs game and against the Titans where they actually beat them, Zach Wilson looked phenomenal, and he really looked like a future elite quarterback, which is what I think he's going to become. But as I was saying before, Zach Wilson, he can make really any throw you ask him to, whether it's he can command in the RPO style offense, he can run some play action, he can just do some slants crossers over the middle of the field. He can even hit people deep in tough contested catches like he's shown throughout this year. He can throw on the run. He really just can do everything. And he also adds that aspect of mobility to him. He's not the fastest quarterback in the league, but as we've seen, you don't have to be the fastest to necessarily be the most mobile. As we've seen with Patrick Mahomes, who is definitely not as fast as someone like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, but he can certainly do his own when he's moving outside of the pocket and making those amazing throws. And I just really think Zach Wilson is this new age quarterback. And I think in the next few years, we're really going to see him blossom into a superstar in the league. And then other than that, another thing I really like that the Jets have been doing over the past couple of years is that they are building from the trenches. They have invested a lot of picks, a lot of money into the offensive line. That starts with Mekhi Becton, who was a first-round pick a couple of years ago. Thing with Mekhi Becton is he has so much potential. He could easily be like a top 3, top 5 tackle in the league. It's just that he needs to get into shape. He needs to get conditioned more. It so sucks to see because his potential is absolutely through the roof. So hopefully he can get his stuff together. But if he does get his stuff together, he'll be a premier left tackle for the next 10 years. It would be great to see that. And then their other first-round pick from last year, Elijah Vera Tucker, who they traded up with, I believe, Minnesota to get, was a great addition. He was regarded as one of the best guard in that class, or interior defensive lineman in general. And I think he's really shown that he's good. He played pretty, aside from like the Jets being terrible last year. Elijah Vera Tucker played amazing last year, in my opinion, for a rookie, and he'll only get better with time. They also added in veteran Lermy Tardif from the Chiefs. I like that move as well for a late round draft pick. So they're really building up these trenches, and not to mention that they literally, everyone when they see this video is going to talk about their defense. Yeah, Their defense is not good. I'll be the first one to admit it. But this year, they have two first round picks that are in the top 10, picking at number 4 and number 10. And then they have two second round picks as well. And they could really use these picks to completely bolster the defense. I was talking to my friend earlier, and like this would have seemed completely unrealistic like a couple months ago. But literally at this point, with how much Kayvon Thibodeau is falling in like the draft process, they could snag someone like Kyle Hamilton at pick 4 and then still get Kayvon at pick 10, which is absolutely outstanding. Jeez. That's literally two future superstars right there. But that's also another reason why this offseason is so crucial to them. I mean, they haven't made too many big moves in free agency this year. I would have liked to see them make more considering with how much money they had going in the offseason. But I also wouldn't like to see them do what the Jags did and just throw money at no-name players like 80 million to who's not a no-name player, by the way. But throwing $80 million at Christian Kirk is just not a good decision, even if you're desperate for a receiver. I wouldn't do that even if I was desperate. And I guess I like that they just do it, but I would have liked to see them do more. But I believe with these two first round picks and 2 seconds, as well as the rest of their draft capital, they could really turn their defense into something. Maybe not next year, because I think next year they're going to be one of the worst teams again. Yeah, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams again next year. And hopefully that doesn't cause them to do something stupid and like fire their coach, because Robert Saleh is a great defensive mind. I think he's a great coach overall. I think he definitely should stay, even if they suck next year, because he's shown that he's playing the long game him and GM Joe Douglas are playing the long game with the New York Jets. And I believe that this draft could really be the start. I believe this draft could really be the start of that. You add in two potentially superstar defenders along with all your other picks, you instantly transform that defense. Maybe not right now, but for the future. So I just think it's so much, no matter who they take, there's so much potential. They just really need to hit. They need to hit on these draft picks for me to be right. And then the receiver group is actually underrated too. Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios. Braxton Berrios is actually one of my favorite players in the league, but it's not a great receiving group. I'll be the first to admit it, but it's not terrible either. They definitely need to add one in the draft. It's not terrible. The defense can improve in the draft. The receivers can improve in the draft, but I believe they really have a strong foundation with quarterback Zach Wilson and the O-line. I think they have a strong a strong like foundation to contend in the future. And like, personally, I see them not contending next year, definitely. I feel like they could keep it close with some teams next year. Maybe not actually contend for like a playoff spot, but I think they can keep it close with some of the better teams in the league and show what they're worth. So even if their record's bad next year, I think they'll stay in a lot of games and lose a lot of close games, almost like the Detroit Lions this year. But I think that 2023 to 2024 season, which is after next season, is where they really start to contend. Zach Wilson honestly goes into the MVP race, and these draft picks from this year truly start to reach their full potential. I think it's looking up for the New York Jets, who have been such a depressing franchise over the past few years. So hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to follow the Instagram at Nano Blitz Podcast. I believe I posted something today about the recent Devontae Parker trade, so you want to check that out if you're a Patriots fan or just want to see my thoughts on the trade in general. A mock draft is coming very soon, guys. Keep a lookout for that. That's one of the most hyped up episodes of the year for us. I'm really excited for it. And yeah, see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.